And we're live. Gabe, thank you, man. Thank you for doing this, brother.
Thank you for having me.
So, dude, so you're a guy that it's very difficult to pin down. You're very, very busy, man. So, but I wanted to get you here for a very long time, man. So, I think it's important for like the Tucson community to understand like your involvement in like trying to make Tucson cool again. I don't know if it ever was, but
It was.
it was?
Yeah.
Shit, man. Okay, so all right, so we'll talk about that because so I came to Tucson in 1994, closer to 95. And the first 2 years were just a haze of like learning the language, understanding the culture, just kind of afraid of being out because you can't really defend yourself or have a conversation with people. So everything just went by so quick. So, you know, like if you tell me Tucson was cool in like between 94 and 96, 97, I wouldn't know, you know?
Well, I mean, those years weren't that cool because, I mean, obviously it was the height of the gang issue here, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it was some tough years right there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was like peak for, you know, gangs and stuff like that. I think it was a peak for our homicide rate here, too.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we used to have, like when we started having like homicides in schools and problems and stuff? And
Yeah.
so I graduated from, I'm not going to tell you guys because I don't want anybody like digging up my school year picture. But so I graduated from this high school. But prior to that, we moved to another part of town. And I was going to end up going to another high school where they had just had a homicide there. Like, and it was related to gangs.
Yeah.
And I was petrified. I was like, no, man,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the high school. Like, you know, they're having like race wars and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? I don't want any part of that, man.
Yeah.
But you're born and raised in Tucson.
I was not born here.
Oh, shit. Where were you
No,
born?
I was born in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a little bit of raising in San Diego. And I moved here about 88, and then from there, I'm here. But I call this home, you know what I mean? I'm raised here.
What part of town did you grow up in?
North side, here.
The north side?
Yeah.
Okay. So we were just talking before we went live. 22 years as a barber.
Yeah.
Dude, that is phenomenal. So for a lot of people that may or may not know, you own 2 barbershops here in Tucson.
I do.
One of them is...
London Town Barbershop, and the other one's 1972 Barber and Tattoo Parlor.
And Tattoo Parlor.
Yeah.
So London Barbershop is Ina and Thornydale, or Ina and Shannon,
Right.
and Tattoo, and 1972 is...
It's off 4th Avenue.
4th and 7th.
4th and
right?
7th Street,
4th
yeah.
and 7th, yeah. We'll throw like a little thing at the end for people if they want to find your shops, they'll be able to see it. But 22 years as a barber, man.
It'll be 22 in February, so next month. Actually, Valentine's Day will be it's my anniversary.
No shit.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you started on Valentine's Day 22 years ago?
Well, I got hired on Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh.
So that was my actually very first day as a barber.
So
working.
I've heard you pay a lot of homage to the guy that hired you, or the guy
I do,
that...
yeah.
What's his name?
Robert Rios.
What's the story with him, man?
Well, I didn't actually work for him, but he was a mentor. And when I moved down here, I would get haircuts by him, and like I just learned a lot from him just by getting haircuts from him. And I'm still friends with him to this day, which is pretty cool. You know, like we hang out and stuff like that.
Dude, that's awesome. How old is he now?
I think he's 68 or 69.
68, 69.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
How is it that you learn from it? Was it when you're sitting on that barber seat and you and him talking, and
Yeah.
or did your friendship later on or at that time expand beyond the barbershop?
Well, I learned from him because he cut my hair in the mirror. Like he always would face you around to, you know, pointing so you're looking in the mirror.
Right.
So I just watched what he'd do every time he cut my hair, and I was going like once a week I was getting a haircut by him. So, but my grandfather was a barber, so I learned from him like the basics, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Robert actually talked me into going to barber college, so I did.
Really? Yeah. So you went to barber college, and then how long before? So what was your experience like? So did you have that experience that you now put these kids through, as far as like walking into a barbershop, saying you want a job, and it's starting from the bottom?
Like not too many kids come in asking for a job. You know what I mean? They just they inquire about how can I be a barber, and to be honest, man, like I mean, being a barber is great, but you can always do better in life. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I'd encourage them going to school because that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, get your education, get something higher than what, you know, a blue collar is. You know, that's what I encourage. You know, when they come in.
Phenomenal, man. So we've talked about this, man. So we've also talked about like how many young kids come in to get their haircuts, right? And one thing about the barbershop, especially like one like you, that it's so easy to talk to, and then you have so much life experience that you can really point these kids in the right direction because you have a past. You know, you have a past of, like you said, we've talked about like the hip hop, the gangs, the violence that happened here in Tucson. Not that you were involved in it, but we all have friends that, you know, that were involved in it, or you grew up knowing about it. So now you have these young kids that are 14, 15, 16, 17. They're coming in and they're telling you their life story, and then you start kind of pointing in the right direction. So a lot of times you end up having a relationship with them where it's the advice that their parents may or may not give them, or they just may not have somebody to give them that advice. You end up there.
Yeah, you know, kids nowadays, there's either good kids or there's really bad kids. There's no in between at all. Like, as far as I know, you know, like when I was a kid, we were knuckleheads. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now these kids are dope fiends, man. You know what I mean? A lot of kids, like, if they're on a shitty track, it's horrible, man. But I give them as much advice as I can. You know what I mean? And you know, I see kids come in for about a year and then I don't see them anymore. You know what I mean? It's just it's sad, but you know, what can you do? You know?
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Do you ever inquire about those customers that disappear?
You know, they run through my head every now and then, but
Yeah.
you know, it's too many of them. You know what I mean?
I had a teacher in high school, man. Like, one of the most powerful speeches that he gave us was, so his name was Frank Carrizosa. And this is towards the end of our senior year in high school. And he tells us a story, man, because we were, like you said, we were knuckleheads. So this is like 1997, so we were knuckleheads. And he tells us a story. He said, every Sunday, I sit down and I open the newspaper and I go to the obituaries. And he said, it never fails, you know. I'll see my friends that have passed away, but it never fails. At least once a week or once a month, I'll see somebody from the class prior that is now dead. And it's a kid that I knew was a knucklehead, was on the wrong path.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I see them, you know. So he kind of gave us a speech of, you're the captain of your ship.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Which I really hope that teachers today are still doing it. I don't know if they are. I don't know if teachers are capable or interested in doing that. But teachers play a large role in the development of our kids. I spend more time with them than with the parents themselves. But he gave us that speech, man, of you're the captain of your own ship, and so many more words, and that's what I got out of it. So I walked out of that classroom just with his words like resonating in my head, you know.
Well, when we went to school, it wasn't chiseled in us, you know what I mean? We acted like that because it was our choice, you know what I mean? It wasn't our lifestyle, it was just what we did to have fun, you know? Now it's drugs, man, you know, and it's like an epidemic, man. It's taking over. Like, these kids now, there's no turning back for them at all, you know, like.
But it also, I firmly believe that it has to do with the drugs that they're using.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I personally, without any endorsement from any law enforcement agency or anything like that, I classify drugs into the Saturday night, you know, having a good time drugs, and then the I hate my life, I need to escape drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, you have a beer when you're a young kid, you know, you have a beer with your buddies and your parents may not see it. I grew up surrounded by kids that smoked weed, and that was it. That was like the hardest thing that they ever did. But it wasn't until harder drugs started being introduced that you started seeing, and it was kind of like that kid, like the kid that you knew that his life at home was garbage, and he didn't have a single person around him that loved him, supported him. Like, you could start predicting what kid was going to end up using crack and meth and heroin.
Yeah.
And those are the I hate myself and I hate my life drugs, you know?
Yep.
but I think that a lot of kids are skipping directly straight into those drugs where they're not partying. Like, you don't party when you're on crack. You don't party when you're on meth. You don't party when you're on heroin. You're down. You're out. You're using. You're escaping. You're escaping your reality without being able to do anything. Where back in the day, it was, like I said, like, I grew up surrounded by kids that smoked weed or drank. But they were, like, they did it in a way that never interfered with life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I kick them out of my shop.
Yeah. No, we've talked about that, right? So if they come in smelling, you're like, out.
Yeah. Out. Get out, man. No one wants to see that shit, you know.
That is so crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to smell or see that shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
But you've told me a story where you had kids, like, nodding off in your shop.
Yeah, and I've recorded them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to show other kids, hey, this is what it looks like, man. You want to be like
Christ,
that?
Man.
And I'll let them nod off for as long as they want to nod off, but I'll record it, man.
Yeah.
And I'll show other kids, hey.
You want to look like this.
Yeah.
This is what you want in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Fuck, man. But, you know, a lot of those kids, man, like, ultimately, we're all captains of our boat, you know?
Right.
But a lot of those kids, man, it's like, I wonder whether they even have an honest shot at life, you know? Because, so, like we said, going back to, like, parent figure for a lot of these kids, man,
Right.
I remember having a conversation with a kid about owning your future and discipline and stuff like that, and the reaction in the kid's face was that of, this is the first time that conversation's happened in his life.
Right.
And this kid has a father, this kid has a mother, and I'm kind of caught by surprise that this conversation with this kid being 16, 17 years old has not happened, you know?
You know, it is, it is what you make it, man. You know what I mean? I don't, like, not to be, like, sad story or anything, man, but I grew up without a dad. My mom didn't tell me, like, what was right and what's wrong, you know what I mean? But I'm here.
Yeah. How did you get there, though? So if it didn't come from your mom, it didn't come from your dad, was there a figure that in your life, or was it just already ambition being within you?
Well, I mean, you mature, man. You know what I mean? Like, I never got involved with drugs, man. You know what I mean? After a certain age, man, like, you start realizing, you know, I got to grow up, man. You know what I mean? Like, I got to take care of shit, you know, like.
That doesn't always happen.
It doesn't, man.
Right? So there's a difference between growing up, like maturing, and getting old.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean.
And sometimes those two don't go hand in hand.
They don't.
They don't go hand in hand. So there's a study that I read about, and obviously it can be disputed, just like anything with science, but Dr. Drew was talking about emotional maturity. And he talked about how for people that use drugs to cope with the reality, there's something that stunts the fact that they're using drugs at a certain age, their ability to cope with the challenges of life, it stops at the age that they started using drugs. Meaning, if you were 14, 15 years old when you started using drugs, you can be a 25 or 30-year-old man and still react as a 14-year-old kid.
For sure, yeah.
But that shocked me. So, you know, being in law enforcement myself, like, I remember the first time that I saw a grown-ass man, I started when I was 23. Mm-hmm. So seeing a man in his late 30s react how I would have reacted when I was 14, it shocked me. I didn't understand that. It wasn't until I read up on it, you know, that it made sense.
Yeah. And
it makes sense. You see this kid, you see this grown-ass man just break down crying, you know? Or just freaking out, and this is how a kid freaks out. Like, you're a man, you're not supposed to react like that. You're supposed to go into action mode, troublemaking mode, you know. Trouble solving, you know. Not a breakdown of their emotions, man. That's so crazy, man.
Yeah, it's true though, man. Shit, you know what I mean? Like, you're 40 years old, you shouldn't be acting like that, man. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit who you are.
Right.
You shouldn't be acting like that, man. Like, you know, people always say, you know, I got dealt the worst hand in life. It's like, kiss my ass, man. You know what I mean? Like, you had your whole life, man,
to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, what, you couldn't figure it out your You're 40 years old. You couldn't figure it out, man?
The daddy card, right? The daddy issue card. Like,
Daddy
oh, my
issue,
dad did
yeah.
this, my dad did that. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that gets you a pass till about a certain age. Then
Yeah.
after that, you have to
mean,
own it, man. You have to own it. I
yeah,
mean,
you have to own-
just like my dad was around, but wasn't around. So,
Yeah.
like, when people talk about who raised you, I'm like, a woman raised me. You know, it
Yeah.
was my mother that, within what was within her abilities, that tried to do the best that she could to raise me. But,
Right.
but when it came down to understanding how to deal things as a man, I had a lot of growing up. I had a lot of area to make up for as when I became an adult because I was raised by a woman.
Right.
But I didn't sit there back that I didn't sit back and say, oh fuck man, I didn't have this in my life.
Right.
My daddy. It's like,
Right.
no man, you grow up, you own it, man.
Yeah, man.
But then again, moving forward to this, right? So we're talking about. So we grew up in a time where the product was there. So the gang violence, the drugs, so you're talking about like the early 90s,
Right.
where if we were to say, okay, what we should have been like swept under, caught up with, we didn't. We moved on, or
Right.
you moved on, because we're talking about you.
Yeah.
So you move on, you get out of that, and now you're a successful business owner, and
Yeah.
you're carving a piece in history in Tucson, the world for yourself.
Well, when it comes down to it, man, like I don't think about making a mark. I'm doing what I do. I'm doing what I can do to survive, bro. You know what I mean? Like I want to live comfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't care about popularity. I don't care, who knows me. I don't care about any of that. I'm doing it because I want to live comfortable, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna work for somebody ever.
Right.
Fuck that, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Nope. That's just for birds, man.
Did you have an experience work for somebody that gave you that?
Yeah. I mean,
What was
shit,
that one?
man. It was horrible, man. The first guy I worked for, I'm not gonna say any names, but he was very militant, man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he did teach me a lot of discipline. You know what I mean? Like he taught me a lot of good business ethics, but like he was a fucking asshole, man. You know what I mean? And I worked for him for like 9 years, man. And I mean, imagine going to work having to wear a baby blue barber smock and chocolate brown pants every day.
Fuck.
That's what we had to wear every
Right.
single day, man. And if he caught me looking at the clock at 5:30, he would stay open for an extra hour.
Really?
Yeah, he was that kind of asshole, man. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ, man.
And his rule was, if he doesn't eat, I don't eat. Yeah, that's. But
Did he have a military background?
yeah, he was.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah.
But I was making I would think I was like 19, making about $800 to $1,000 a week.
Right.
So I stomached it. You know what I mean?
Like I'm
Shit.
done with this. Yeah.
Yeah, 19 years. What 19-year-old makes $1,000 a week? You know what I mean?
So, dude, I had my experience that also led towards, okay, number one, as an immigrant, I need to do better for myself. I was a teenage parent, so I got a job at this factory, and there was same thing, like the foreman, he didn't, it was all Mexicans, dude. We're all Mexicans, and one of the reasons that I kind of moved up in the job, yeah, it was my work ethic, but it was also the fact that I spoke broken English at 19. So that gave me the ability to communicate with management and pass the word back up to the labor, which is a lot of people that didn't speak English. So one thing that, you start kind of boiling inside is I didn't care how he talked to people because he talked to them like cattle and he
Right.
treated them like cattle.
Yeah.
And that started boiling up inside of me until one day we had a blow up and I quit right there on the spot. And I quit. So I'm 19 years old. I have a kid. I just got married and I tell him I quit, and his words will always resonate with me. Because at this point, I'm so emotional that another guy had to come in that spoke better English, fully bilingual. Because at this point, I'm so emotional that I couldn't speak English. I was
Right.
full on Spanish. And the guy, but I understood him. The guy tells Frank, the supervisor, tell him if he quits, where else is he going to make this much money his entire life? So as a young kid, 19, with a kid already married, this guy saw me peaking. That's it. You're
Yeah.
a young kid. You're a young immigrant kid. This is it. This is. You should be thankful that we hired your
Right.
people here, and that infuriated me.
Oh, I
and
bet.
at that point it was a matter of principle that I said, I can't stay. I can't stay, and I have to prove him wrong.
Right.
You know. So that was my
Yeah.
my experience with somebody. You know, a bad boss.
Right,
You
right.
know. So I said, fuck this, man. So I left. You know.
And it's crazy how that stays with you forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll always remember him.
Right.
I'll never forget about him. And every time I think about him, it makes me want to do better.
Yeah, exactly. And every time, it's funny, man, because whenever there's two repetitive dreams that I have. I moved from Mexico to the U.S. and that interaction with this guy, his name was Ed. Whenever there's something important that's going to happen in my life, like for example, we just signed the lease for a new academy Friday, and the night before, I had those two dreams back to back. How vulnerable I felt when I moved to the U.S. and the rage of this guy telling me that at 19 I had peaked. Wow. There was nothing else in my life. So those dreams, yeah, like you said, like I think for the rest of my life, as long as I'm trying to achieve something, whatever's going on in my life will trigger those dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And I wake up motivated. Like I'm like,
yeah.
fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, literally, like I wake up with anger towards him, but
right.
motivated, you know? And I said, I'm going to do this.
Right.
We're going to move forward.
I think at 19 too, your brain's pretty putty still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause after I worked with this dude, I swear to God, I'd never act like that. You know what I mean? Like
right.
the way he did,
right.
and I don't. You know what I mean? Like the guys at London Town, or you know my boys at 72. Like, I will never be like that.
Right.
I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, the cooler you are, the better people are gonna work. Like,
Right.
You know what I
You
mean?
get more with honey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You get more with honey,
Yeah.
yeah. But you're
Less
really good at talking to people, man. I've noticed that you're really good at talking to people, even if there's nothing common between you and this person. You're really good at finding that middle ground, figuring out how to talk to this person.
Right, right. No, I'm very open, man. You know what I mean? I'm very open. I respect others that respect me. I engage in conversation, no matter if it's about the ballet, opera, or fighting, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I can carry a conversation. You know, like
Right.
I don't know how much I know about.
What's the toughest customer that you've ever had, as far as the person that sat down in front of you and just this person represented something that you had a lot of problems talking to or relating with?
I would say the 80-year-old men.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Why? What's so weird about them?
And they're just old and not happy. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's hard. You know.
Is there a lot of those?
Oh,
You get a lot of
yeah.
those? Really? Fuck,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I'm afraid of that, man. I'm afraid of being that 80-year-old man.
I'll put a bullet in my head before that.
Dude, I'm done,
you know?
yeah. But I've had two really good experiences, man, with that. We got invited to this little girl's birthday party, and as my buddy opens the door, so the guy opens the front door, and as I'm looking through his house, in the back, I can see this small figure, jumping on a trampoline, diving into the pool, comes out and starts playing with what I can see is a little girl. But I'm trying to figure out what that person was, what that thing was, because it's not a kid. It's shaped weirdly. It's in shape, but it's shaped weirdly.
Like
and
saggy?
Then not saggy, it's just weird. You know, it just had like a weird posture to it.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to do is my struggle comes pairing the behavior to what the shape is.
Right.
So I see that person come out of the pool and he's like runs around the pool, and then he like chases this girl. She jumps in the pool again. He jumps in the pool. And we sit down, and I'm trying to figure out what this is. So, you know, I lead the conversation to the backyard as soon as I could to see this. I'm like, dude, who's that? Oh, that's my 88-year-old dad. And the old man came out of the pool, grabbed a beer, and we started talking.
Yeah.
And he made me feel old.
Did
you know?
Really?
Dude, he was phenomenal. He had energy, and he was happy. And he was retired, and he was still married, and he was volunteering his time, you know. So phenomenal, man, phenomenal. So, so that's the example that I want to, you know, because even I think up until maybe like 10, 15 years ago, 40s was it for me. mentally. 40s, 50s, 60s, you're kind of done, you know, like just like growing up in Mexico, seeing people that in bad shape already, you know, obesity and stuff like that. But I look at my coach friend Gina, man. You know, he's in his late 40s, and that dude ran through us.
Right.
It was one of my black belts, Philip, my wife Brenda, who's a brown belt, and we were doing something like 6-7 minute rolls, and we probably went on for an hour.
Wow.
And he's just running through us. He's just running through us.
Really?
I'm rolling with him. My time's up. I shake his hand. I run to the bathroom. Philip is next. I run to the bathroom to throw up. And I think I went out to the back and started throwing up. And I like look over and I'm like, please don't let Gabe see me, you know, because your shop is right next door. And I'm like, you know. And I look back and he's whooping on Philip.
Really?
And Philip's time goes up, his 6-7 minutes. So now it's Brenda, but I'm still nauseous. So I look at Brenda like Robert Downey Jr. and I'm like, survive, you know, please last. Because if you're done, that means I'm next, and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So Brenda somehow made it through that, and then I'm next again, and he's whooping my ass again. I'm telling you, man, this whole thing with this circle of three went for an hour, and then
was it like called Shark Tank?
It wasn't meant to be, but it was. Where this old man just stayed in there, just whooping her ass.
Wow.
In his late 40s.
That's crazy.
And then we go back home, and I want to take a nap, and he's like, "Man, you're gonna spend your whole life sleeping. Let's go do stuff." You know? Wow. So it's a passion of life, man. So later on, like, it made me rewire the way I thought about aging, you know?
Yeah.
It made me rewire the way I thought about aging, about not getting to be that 80-year-old that just sits there and hates life.
Right.
You know? I want to be that old guy jumping in the pool. And it's 100% mental. It's 100% mental. But it's also about making the right decisions in life, because if you get to 80 years old and you look at this woman that you've spent your life with and it's not the one, and your entire life, you've known this. At 80, your decisions are heavy on you now. Mm-hmm. So now you're looking at this woman, and you're like, I should have left you when I was 30. You know? Yeah. That's, you know, and then you look at your kids, and you didn't raise them right, you know, for whatever it is. Now you just, now at night, man, your age just weighs on you. Now you're just, fuck, man.
Yeah, man. I think Cat Williams said this. It was like,
the great philosopher Cat Williams.
Yeah. I mean, he says a lot of cool shit, you know, like.
But it's masked by how silly he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, you live a long time, but you only die once.
Right.
And that's very true. You know, people always say you only live once. You die once.
You die once.
Yep.
You can live. And that's one thing, like, for example, like talking about, you know, my youngest has a lot of potential, but it's not his time yet. He's only 16. You know, his time is not here yet. But my oldest, at 19, man, that kid has lived so many lives already. Yeah, competitor, clothing, you know, photographer. Now photographer, dude. It's like there's people that only do one thing in their life. Yeah, and then that's it. You know, and I was a photographer, but I wish I would have been a jiu-jitsu fighter. Yeah,
you have to do as much as you can. Yeah, you know, whatever interests you, you do it. You know, you attack it.
Right. Attack it. People don't attack. That comes from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. He says people do things, people do weights, people do life, they don't attack it. Yeah. And it's beautiful to hear you say that. And it makes sense watching you the way you do things to see you that I look at you and you're like, you attack. Yeah. You attack things.
When I do something, I don't go half-ass, man. I do it until I'm broke, and then it pays off.
Then it pays off.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Let's take a little break, man. Let's take a little break. We'll come back.
All right.
All right, so we're back. So I wanna switch gears a little bit, man. I want to talk about your involvement with the Tucson community and just, like I said, trying to make Tucson cool. But I want to start with you said Tucson was cool at one point.
Was, yeah.
When?
Early 2000, late 90s, man. Like
Really?
I mean,
98, 97?
I would
99?
say, yeah, I would say even 95 to 2000. I know I said that there was a lot of violence and shit like that, but there was some cool shit, like the music scene, man. Like hardcore, punk, rockabilly, like, it was big, man.
Really?
Oh, it was huge, man. And
What were these bands playing?
oh my God,
The Hub?
No, well, the old DPC, which is closed, Scrappy's, which is closed. God,
Scrappy's is the one behind the Tucson City Court, right?
that's the new Scrappy's,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's called 191 Tool now.
Okay.
But the old Scrappy's was by it was a shithole behind like Rialto or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a small place, but they used to throw some hardcore shit there.
Right. It was it's like on the corner. It's by on Congress.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was like a white little
White
building.
and blue?
I remember driving by that and seeing like young people,
Oh, yeah.
like our age going in there, but there was never any advertisement, so I couldn't
Oh yeah,
figure out what it was.
It was real underground, man.
Yeah.
And those are the best shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the best. I mean, shit. I saw anywhere from local to all the way. I think
Marilyn Manson.
I don't think he played.
Marilyn Manson didn't play there, but he played at a club that was near the Walker House.
Paragon.
Paragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played there. Yeah.
That's another one
played
too.
at the Wildcat House.
What's that? Slipknot played at the Walker House.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, man. And then as times went on, man,
What killed it?
I think a lot has to do with.
The leadership of Tucson.
Well, no, just people got married, people had kids.
Yeah, but where's the torch, man?
The torch, man. I mean, there's only a few that can still carry it, man. You know what I mean? But like, anybody can hold a torch. Just if you don't have any runners behind you, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, you're the guy.
yeah, I mean, you're the only one doing it, man. You know.
So Jeshua started photographing for the hardcore scene here in Tucson,
Uh-huh.
and they were telling him a story where hardcore scene was huge here in Tucson.
Still is. Yeah.
Well, it is now, but at one point it was huge, and then what caused it to die out is that they had a kid, they had a photographer just like Jeshua that would go around and post pictures and share it like on, there was no Instagram back then, so maybe like a website or newspaper or whatever it was.
MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace, yeah, back then. And then the kid ended up moving, and there was nobody that followed that up.
Right. Right.
So then the hardcore scene died. So with Jeshua doing all these photographs right now, like it's crazy, man. Like they're really appreciative of it.
Oh yeah.
They're hitting him up, asking him to go to shows. The other night, we were laughing about this because he's only 19, but they were asking him out if he wanted to hang out downtown, and he was like, "Yeah, no," And the guy's
Why
like,
not?
"How old are you?" Because he's 19.
Oh,
so
to
the
go
guys
out
were
to
like,
the
"Yeah,
bars.
let's go grab a
Oh.
drink, man," because they love him. He's a great kid, You
Yeah.
can have conversations, has a great personality. He's funny.
Yeah, he did my shows. He did a really good job too.
Right,
The Rockabilly shows.
yeah, the Rockabilly show, but what's his name, Bill?
Bloodshot Bill.
Bloodshot Bill. That was a really cool thing
The
with the
Delta
shop, man.
Bombers.
The Delta Bombers. But so he was like, "Yeah, not 21," and they're like, "Ah, shit,"
Yeah,
Yeah. But when he turns 21, absolutely. But I love that he's already part of that.
Right. Right.
But so Tucson. So then it died out. Just nobody was there to carry the torch.
Well, like your son's photographing or photographing the hardcore scene, but the only thing that stuck around all these years is metal.
Right.
Like punk died out, rockabilly died out. Obviously, the rap scene died out,
Right.
but metal stayed. Metal stayed, obviously, because the rock's still here. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and it sucked because there's no shows to go to anymore. I mean, rockabilly or punk, you know what I mean? So
But you're starting to bring him back.
I am starting to bring it back. Yeah.
And that is phenomenal, man. So that scene is reviving. That scene is coming back. So
I'm trying, yeah. It's got a little heartbeat, but
it's got a heartbeat, but it's getting stronger and stronger. What are some of your favorite bands that you brought in to Tucson and play?
the Delta Bombers for sure.
Yeah.
Bloodshot Bill, Big Sandy, and the Fly Right Boys. God, everything I brought in, I love, man. You know
love
what I
every
mean?
single
Yeah,
one.
they're all top. You know what I mean?
How hard is it to get them down to Tucson?
It's not hard at all, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it just because they're hungry to play, or is it just because they recognize there's a scene in Tucson?
No, like, for example, Big Sandy and the Flat Boys never wanted to come to Tucson again because they came like, I'd say like 8 years ago, and only like 8 people showed up, and I was one of those 8 people.
Fuck.
Yeah, so when I talked to him again, he was like, I don't know, man, like, it's just a waste of time.
They took a hit financially. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, I'll bring the people. I'll bring them. You just got to trust me on this, man. So, I ended up bringing like 300 and something people to that show.
Yeah.
And now he wants to come back.
Bring him?
Yeah, I'm going to bring him, yeah. Delta Bombers come back. They'll come back whenever I ask them to because, when was that show? Like Wednesday?
It was Wednesday.
Packed.
Yeah.
Packed. Wednesday night, man. On just an ordinary Wednesday, man. Everybody came out.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah,
we
man.
need that, right? We need that party on
yeah.
the week. It's
And
Wednesday. It's the hardest day of the week.
And I was shitting my pants, man, because it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
I thought like 5 people were going to come, man. You know what I mean? And when they asked me to book them, I was like, dude, I've never done a show on a Wednesday, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Where'd you put him? Where?
The Hut.
At the Hut.
Yeah, on 4th Avenue, yeah. Which, by the way, Patrick is a cool son of a bitch, too, man. He's the one that runs the Hut.
I still got to meet him.
Oh,
still got to meet him. I love the
badass,
Hut.
man.
Yeah. I've been there. Just kind of like the wife and I walking around like on a rare weekend where we have nothing to do. And we walked into it. I love it, man. I think we've seen like a couple like reggae bands and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
they
It's a great atmosphere, man.
Yeah,
it's
puts
a really
on
cool atmosphere.
His thing is putting on shows, man. You know what I mean? And me and him have a good relationship because I just gotta tell him, hey, I want to throw a show, and he'll give me the place, man. You know what I mean? Like I have it like that with him because I've brought, I've showed him I can bring people.
That you can bring people, right?
Yeah, so I mean, he makes a fortune on beer.
Yeah.
And I can bring the
keep
bands. You know what I mean?
We keep the music. He can
Yeah,
have the beer.
yeah.
That is so cool, man. That is so cool. Who is the next big project that you're trying to bring?
I am working on. It's not Rockabilly,
Right.
but I'm working on a hardcore show right now.
Uh-huh.
Which it features a local band called Gat Rot,
Right.
and I want to bring American Standards down from Phoenix. And there's this hardcore psychobilly band from Los Angeles that's interested, so I'm working on that right now.
Right.
But I wanted a hardcore show, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other show I'm working on is, I don't know if you've heard of the Far Side.
No.
Far Side's this old school hip hop.
Really?
Yeah, they're super cool, man. But I'm working on bringing them down too. So,
Dude, that is so cool, man.
and we're talking like early 40s, mid 40s for the Far Side, man. Like this is old.
This
stuff.
is old school, yeah. Dude, that is. I think it's important, man. I think it's important to bring those shows because our youth, it's desperate. Just like you and I were desperate at around that age, like the teens, like the early teens or the late teens, or shit, even the early 20s, man, where you're still, conflicted. You're still trying to figure out where you belong because we need to belong to something, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that young age of being a young kid in Mexico and just not seeing anything around that resonated with me. And you start getting worried. I started getting worried. I just couldn't find anything. And it wasn't until I saw a little clip of Welcome to the Jungle, and it was the rebellion, it was the look, it was the loudness, it was the freedom to it that just spoke to me.
Right.
And I immediately latched onto it,
Yeah. I'll tell you this quick little story, man. Like, I remember I was young, man. I was probably like 10, 12 maybe, I don't know. I brought home, one of my buddies let me borrow a tape. I brought it home and I could not wait to listen to it. Walked in the door, my brother, I had it in my hand, my brother intercepted me and he was like, "The fuck do you got in your hand?" My brother's a mean fucking bastard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I showed him and it was a Bon Jovi tape.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So my brother's like, "You're not fucking listening to this bullshit." Like, and he destroyed the tape and it wasn't even mine, you know what I mean? Like,
He made a point.
yeah, and he went in his room and he gave me my first Slayer tape.
Fuck. Which one was it?
It was Abyss, I think, man.
Yeah. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about that, right? Like the introduction to music. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and
so then you threw it on.
Changed my life forever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad because I wouldn't want Bon Jovi to change my life forever.
No.
Because I'd probably be working in a salon.
You'd be making a lot more money, and you'd be far better looking. Like your eyelashes would be done.
Yeah. Maybe I should still.
No, we fucked up. We can't go back. Maybe in the next life we can shoot for that. But dude, so it's funny because in one of your shops you have a crowd that listens to a lot more hip hop than the other.
Yeah.
And I know that they've listened to our conversations, like, you know, like I talk about taking my kids to Slayer, Behemoth, you know, Lamb of God. And I know they're like, listen to us. And then you told me one time that they were like, you know, what's wrong with him? Why is he doing that?
Right.
But to me, it was very important because I experienced it, and I think that saved my life in so many ways. The religion of doubt is I wanted to the religion of doubt and the religion of rebellion. Not mindless rebellion, but it was very important for me to introduce my kids to this kind of music so they understood that message. And I didn't want kids regurgitating just what I said and what I believed. You know, I want conversations. I want to be able to talk to my kids and say, I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that. This is what I believe in. Yeah. And them being able to make their point. And I think that only happens when as a parent you do your job and you introduce your kids to the idea of, don't just accept it because I said it. Right. Don't rebel against it mindlessly. Just, you know, fuck it, I'm not listening to my dad. That's not what I want. I want you to take what I said and I want you to think about it. And if I'm wrong, then tell me I'm wrong. Right. And if you have a vision, then do it. Follow it, you know?
Yep. For sure, man.
Yeah. That was super important. So, but it's funny because at the same time, it's like I don't think people that don't grow up listen to metal, to punk, you know, to hardcore, they don't get it. Because it's not, that message is not on hip hop really anymore. Right. Hip hop is, to me, it's dead, and it's commercial. It's really about pushing the brands and the lives and a certain lifestyle, but it's not about the education anymore of the youth.
It's crazy, man, because hip hop, I never thought hip hop educated anybody. I liked it, don't get me wrong, a long time ago. It was cool, you know what I mean? But it never educated anybody, you know what I mean? But
not even like Biggie? No.
I mean, if you're into hoes and guns and killing and shit like that, man, yeah, I mean, sure, but like metal, like straight metal, educates, man. Right. And I'm not being biased here because I like metal, but like you learn a lot from it, man. You know, it's not just like a lot of people hear just a hardcore guitar, man. They don't care to listen to, you know, the anger, the positive notes that come out of it. You know, it's angry and it's positive, but you'll never hear, minus Slayer, you'll never hear about killings and I'm gonna beat that bitch, I'm gonna kill this dude.
I'm gonna go and then shoot up the place.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and you'll never hear about drugs either.
Right.
You know?
So in one of my previous lives, I was a correctional officer at a state prison, but I love human interaction, man. So without ever crossing the line, I would engage in this like philosophical conversations with some of the guys in there, some of the inmates. And one dude just asked me, he was like, "What do you listen to, man?" And Slayer, Metallica, you know, back then, Rob Zombie or whatever it was, you know. Yeah. And you know, he was black, and we started talking about hip hop. And then he made the point. He said, I listen to Biggie because Biggie was the first hip hop artist that was able to put on pen and paper and on a record the way majority of African Americans felt in America. And on our way over, we were listening to Juicy. Which one is it? Juicy? Juicy. We were listening to that, and it talks about that. Like if you start listening to the words, he talks about the teachers that mocked him, the teachers that called him a loser because he dropped out of high school. Right. And it's a lot of times you drop out of high school because it's a necessity. Like I dropped out of wrestling because it was a necessity. I don't speak English. I need to get a job. There's no safety net for me. I came here when I was a sophomore. I have 3 years to make something happen, or I'm screwed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, so for those guys that that Biggie was a big voice for them because they felt like losers.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But yet they listen to this guy that is successful, that made it, and they're like, okay, I'm not alone. So it's what resonates with them. It was like the first time we listened to like Pearl Jam was huge, man. Like Eddie Vedder's lyrics, man, phenomenal. And same thing. It's like you listen to some of his lyrics. James Hetfield in the early Metallica, you know, like Blackened, Fade to Black, you know,
Master of Puppets,
Right Lining, it's just lyrically genius, you know, and you listen to those songs and you're like, yeah, I relate to that.
Yeah.
So, and that's again the belonging. It's like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one going through this or feeling these things.
Right.
And then the positive image of the rock ballad kicks in, the the downstroke and the power of the music, and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
I can face this.
No, for sure, man. Metal always to me has been positive, man. It when I'm whatever kind of emotion or whatever kind of mood I'm in, like metal will always make it better, make it, that much, make my day that much better, man. You know what I mean? Or rockabilly music, like I love that shit, man. Right. Even old country.
I've never heard rockabilly until I met you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never heard rockabilly. It was just not, within the scope of what I grew up listening.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's good music, man.
It's phenomenal, man. Those artists, I don't think they're recognized for their talent because when you had the show, but then you had Bloodshot Bill at your 1972 shop, and he had like this little drum set, right?
Yeah.
Where he just kind of keeps the rhythm with his feet, and then he had his guitar.
Yeah, thanks to Gabe, by the way.
Thanks to Gabe.
You remember Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so minimalist, instrumentally speaking.
Oh yeah.
But he plugs in and he looks up and he goes, "Are we fucking doing this?"
Yeah.
He grabbed a beer and he looked up, literally said it like that. He goes, "Are we fucking doing this? All right." And the music that came from the guitar, the rhythm that came from the drum set, the voice, the sounds that came from his mouth.
And remember, he did this all by himself.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's all by himself. It's like, I hope that I'm painting the pictures. I'm telling you, he's sitting there with his guitar, the drums are here, this and this. He's playing with the sound, he had to borrow. Somebody has a knife? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they like adjusted,
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you close your eyes and I did this, and I closed my eyes for a second, listened to what was happening there and then, I was expecting to open my eyes to see a full band.
Crazy, huh?
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see a singer, 2 backup singers, a drummer, and a full band. And I'm telling you, it's one dude, one guitar, playing rhythm and solo and changing his voice and in singing amazingly in like 3-4 different tones, all within one song. And the rhythm was, I'm telling you, the rhythm was a whole band was playing next to him.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Man. And what's crazy, man, is he is the most humble dude you'll ever meet in your life. I mean, he, right from the first time I met him, it was like I knew him for 20 years.
And he's blowing up right now.
He's blowing up on the East Coast right now.
Right, because he did a show where? He did a show, we were talking about this, he was on a TV show, and same thing, like just the way we witnessed it at your shop. He had a show where they brought him in, he sat down, and next thing you know,
just went
the
off.
Bloodshot Bill experience happened, and the entire crowd went crazy.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
You don't expect that from one guy.
You don't, from one dude with like just that.
20 different voices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just insane. And actually I'm bringing him down back in March too.
Oh, rap, yeah.
And we keep in touch, man. He's a cool guy, you know what I mean?
Super humble, man.
Man. He's down to earth, man.
Almost to the point where he felt awkward in the crowd. Like I watched them like interact, and he was just kind of like,
he
just couldn't wait to perform.
Yeah, he wanted to get over with, man, so he can party, man, or be himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think he was just getting in a different state of mind to play, man. He went to that place.
To the performer.
Yeah.
To the performer. Yeah.
But it was cool, man. He's He's definitely.
He creates an atmosphere. He creates an atmosphere all by himself.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next point, dude. Your shop, 1972. Love it. I love it. I love what you've created, the atmosphere that goes there. So I love your shop, London, but there's something about your shop, 1972, which it's two completely shops as far as the way they look.
Different.
Completely different.
Apples and oranges, man.
Yeah. And I love going there because the second you walk in, there's sometimes there's punk rock, sometimes there's rockabilly, sometimes there's Slayer.
Yeah.
And I think I must have taken like 20 pictures because we walked in and the first thing that you showed me was the chairs, right?
Yeah.
The chairs. And you started telling me, so tell me about your chair, man. That you always wanted. You always wanted that chair.
I did. I ended up picking up off a buddy of mine. His name's Paul. He's a barber also, man. And he sold me his 1942 Padar barber chair, man. And it's porcelain, and it's just beautiful, man.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a thing of beauty, man. It's
Yeah.
a thing of beauty. If people go to my Instagram, you'll see it there, man. I posted I posted parts of the chair because when I walked in, that's like the first thing you introduced me to. It was like you know, I'm looking around the shop and you're like, no. Check this out. Check this chair out, man.
Yeah.
And and I sat down, man, and it's a beautiful place, man. It's small, but it's right.
Yeah,
it's right. It doesn't need to be big. It's the right shop.
It's small, but it seems big, huh?
Right.
Like it seems
the atmosphere seems so much bigger than what the place is. Because so the atmosphere is not just two chairs, which I love the guy that does hair with you. Daniel.
Yeah.
Super cool dude, man. Super cool dude. But the atmosphere spills into the front. It's just you see it. You see it spilling out into the front part of the shop.
Yeah.
Where the guys don't go there to get haircuts.
They go for atmosphere.
For the atmosphere.
And then
they go for the atmosphere, they go for the conversation, they go for the vibe that it's there.
And you just happen to get a good haircut.
Right.
After. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it is, you know. And that's what I wanted. You know, I wanted a playground for myself and for my clients. You know what I mean? Because London Town is a great barbershop, don't get me wrong, but it's not a playground. Right. You can't yell, you can't say fuck at the top of your lungs.
Right.
At 72 you can say it. Because no one gives a shit there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No one gives a shit, man.
And I love that, man. I love that. And again, I love the conversations that happen there. Like for the Bloodshed Bill, there was a gentleman talking about like his experience growing up in Southern California in the bands and skateboards, and I just kept my mouth shut, man, because this dude was a wealth of knowledge on skateboards. He was talking about like he had like this board and this other board.
That'll be Alan.
Alan? Yeah, dude, he was talking about the years and the names and stuff like that, and it was almost to the point like I was afraid that he was gonna ask me, huh? Because I was gonna be like, you know, because he was name dropping like the boards, and he still have this, and I put this wheels on there and stuff like that, and it was so cool, man. And it was right at that moment where I'm sitting there with my youngest, with Elias, that I knew he was in a good place. Yeah. You know, to discover the world through this other people. It's important. Obviously, it's important for you to visit the world and interact with people. But if you just sit there with vanilla, fucking world sucks, man. Yeah, it does. And when you sit there with this dude that you know had lived so many different lives, you know, I've had that experience, but I was concerned if my kids were going to have that experience too. Yeah. And I'm telling you, from forever on, I'll drive over there. Yeah. And I fucking drop off my kids, man. I'm like, hey, they're good. Yeah, exactly. They're with Gabe. It's in a great fucking place, man.
And it's cool about that, man, is like the guys over the 72, man, they meet you and you're a friend right away.
Your friend right away, man.
Anybody that walks through that door is a friend. You know what I mean? Right away to everybody. Whether it's my people, Nino's people, Daniel's people, Henry, it don't matter. We're all friends. Right from the start. You know what I mean? So you can drop off whoever, man. You can drop off your newborn baby there. I guarantee you, come back and pick them right back up. Fed.
It's going to go home with the Slayer tape.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Slayer carved in his arm. But
it heals, and he'll be forever hateful. He'll be forever grateful.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You're
I
welcome.
won't do it on the forehead, but
No, we'll do it in the forearm.
yeah,
It'll be fine.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Man, wish I had
No,
that.
but the 72 is also a tattoo parlor too, man. So
Right.
yeah, we got 2 tattoos.
What's the name of your guys doing tattoos?
Nino and Henry. The Nino Brown 13 on Instagram and Henry the Tattooer on Instagram.
Beautiful.
Phenomenal.
Follow them. Phenomenal work.
Phenomenal
work.
artists, man. And the other barber is Dapper Daniel. Follow
Dapper
that.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Which there's no way that dude doesn't wake up at least 2 hours before he has to be there just to do his hair and just to do the beard.
Yeah.
That shit is on point every single day.
Yeah.
He's got the look, man. He's got
Yeah.
the look and he's got the beard and
It's not bad for a gay guy.
right. It's phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
for gay
everybody,
guys,
you know.
for gay guys, dude, they're well dressers.
Yeah.
They're well dressers.
Yeah.
Man. Dude, really,
kidding,
really funny story for gay guys, dude. It was I was about to compete and I had dropped all this weight, man. So I'm walking around like 215 and I'm like feeling lean and feeling good, feeling sexy, you know, feeling powerful. I'm fucking working out with. Shout out to Gabe. He owns Sharks Sports and that's where I go do my conditioning. You know,
Okay.
jiu-jitsu happens here. I have to cover so much that I need to do go my conditioning somewhere else. So I go to Gabe. So at Sharks and I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling strong. And I end up talking to a buddy of mine at work that it's gay. And this dude, it was like he walks by me, we're in the locker room and I go, welcome to the gun show. You know, I kind of flex and he goes, and looks at me, goes, you're straight fit, but you're gay fat. I was, what the fuck? He goes, oh yeah, dude, you're like at least 20 pounds heavy. And I was already like lean, like abs were showing. I was like, fuck, that brought me down, dude. It humbled me. I was like, fuck, man.
You want to be gay lean?
I don't think that's humanly possible, dude. I'm not willing to give up enough things in life to be gay lean. But
Yeah.
you know, but when a friend of yours that is of gay lifestyle calls you fat, it hurts. It fucking cuts deep, man. It's like, fuck, man. You know, I hadn't experienced rejection to that
Did
level.
you really?
Well, you know, when a girl goes, I'm not interested, you're like, all right, she has a boyfriend or whatever. When a dude goes, you know, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
man, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not fat. Gay straight. I mean, I'm gay. I'm straight fit. Whatever. Yeah.
Straight guy for a gay guy? Or what was it?
That was a great show, dude. We were addicted, secretly addicted to
What
that
was
show.
it called?
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking addicted to that show. Because again, it showed you how to dress. It showed you
Oh,
how
really?
to dress. It showed you how to, you know. And dude, it could have been straight guys doing it, but it took people that, you know, that it was always such a positive thing in that show that it took people that were like, hey, I want to impress my fiance. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they took them and.
Well, they take like a bunch of fat slobs and...
No, dude, it's just normal people. Like, I mean, I could have been in that show. I have no sense of fashion, dude. I wear shorts, you know, and sometimes I wear T-shirts that have holes in them because I don't realize it. I'm like,
Right.
doesn't stink. Let's throw it on, you know.
Right.
And then we leave, and it's but these dudes were like, hey, you know, pull out the chair. This is the silver wheel and how it goes, you know.
Oh.
So it was a phenomenal show, dude. But let's take a quick break and then we're gonna finish up real quick.
All right.
And we're back. So, but how hard was it to set the tone at London Barbershop, man? How hard was it to, not London, but 1972?
How hard was it? It
Yeah.
wasn't hard at all. Like, not one bit.
From the second you open, you're like, this is what I want, this is what it's going to
because
look like.
it's all my personal stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, not the stuff inside, like half it's personal mine, but the other half's Daniel's, but it's what I wanted, man. I didn't have to cater to anybody. I catered to myself.
Right.
I catered to what I wanted. So
Right.
it was really easy.
That's,
So-
and going back to metal, that's the Metallica formula,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
We make the music we want to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, yeah, you did
And
that by
whoever wants to listen to it can listen to it.
welcome if you want to listen
Yeah.
to it, but this is for us, this is for me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the same thing, man. We, you know, when we opened our academy, when we opened Damio, the layout, the mats, the this and that was very important, but what we wanted was to chase our brand of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And we wanted that, like it was exactly that, man. Like one of the biggest compliments that we get is how intimidating it is to walk into a jiu-jitsu place, but not here. Because what happens as soon as you walk in, shit, some of the parents or some of the students greet you. Like, hey
Right.
man, how's it going? You know, and you're like, you're expecting, yeah, that's how it should be, man. But you're expecting, it's a place of fighting, and you expect something else. You expect it to sting. You expect posturing, and it's not that, man.
Right.
Yeah. And I always tell the guys, man, because there's always every once in a while the guy that comes in and you still figure it out whether he's gonna fit in the place or not. And my thing to them is this, man. You want to act like a badass, I'll throw you in the world, and we'll see how badass you are, You can be a badass and be humble. You can be a badass and be friendly. And that's what I want here,
Right.
Leave the posturing for the photos after you win, Until then, be humble, be quiet, be a good person, work your ass off, man.
Right.
So, so let's finish up with this, man. For the people that want to find you, they want to see your shows, they want to go to your shop, they want to experience 1972, they want to experience London. Throw that out there and then let the world know what you're working on.
Well, London Town Barbershop is, just tell me the address. Or 2840 West Ina Road, Suite 124. It's on the northwest side, and 1972 Barber and Tattoo Parlor is 412 East 7th Street. I suggest you go there, though, because that's where I'll be.
That's where Gabe's going to be, man. That's where Gabe's going to be. And I'm telling you, I drive there.
Right.
I drive there.
Yeah. And I also have Boulevard Nights Pomade if you're interested in that. So go ahead and.
That's how this hair stays.
Yeah. www.blvdpomade.com.
Beautiful. What are you working on, man? What are you gonna bring?
What product?
Product shows.
I got a few shows working, and then I got a few new hair products coming out. So
beautiful.
And I'm hoping by this time, well, maybe in about 6 months, I'll have another 72 open.
Where?
I'm looking at East Side.
East Side?
Yeah.
But you're going to stay in the one downtown?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to stay downtown. Yeah, that's my home. Yeah.
You know where we need you? We need you up in the Northwest, man. Because I'm opening up my next academy closer to like Cortera and Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I need you there, man.
Yeah, one day I will.
One day?
Yeah,
okay.
one day.
All right.
Yeah, it'll happen. Man. It'll happen.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
East Side's where the tattoos are, though, man.
Brother, thank you for doing this, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Hope you had fun.
I did.
Let's do this.
Yeah.